Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video I will be showing you 31 do's and don'ts of oil pastels, and I hope you get some tips and tricks out of it. Watch till the end and enjoy and apply to your drawings. So the first one here is drawing in and coloring and blending in portions. So when you have 2-3 different shapes, it's better to color one portion at a time. See, for instance, in this first example I am coloring one portion one color and then another portion another color. See, here I am applying all color at once and then I am starting the blending. So I am blending one portion at a time. You could either use tissue paper or Q-tip or fingers, anything that you like. Here this is just an example, so I'm using my fingers to show you. See, here in this first example the blending and coloring is not very accurate. In the second example I'm showing you the right way to do it if you have any multiple shapes to color. So I'm coloring and blending one portion at a time. I'm not coloring the other shapes until this is complete. So this shape is done. Now let's go to the next shape and do the same thing. If there is finer lines, you could use Q-tip to blend. Since this is just an example, I am doing like this with a finger. So if you do one shape at a time, it is easy to control. So that's why I do it like this. This is applicable for most of the paintings. Like for example, abstract paintings, if you have different shapes, you can use this technique. See, the second one is more nicer because we did one shape at a time. And here I will show you what type of colors you can blend. For example, in this I am using pink, dark pink in this first combination, and then I am again switching to light yellow, peach kind of color, and see how it is creating like a muddy effect in this painting, because pink and yellow doesn't go together. And also next color I am using purple. Exactly, the purple and yellow doesn't go together and it creates like a muddy color effect. We don't want that to happen in oil pastel paintings. So in the second example I'll show you the right way. I'm using dark pink, and I'll be using another similar color close to pink in the color wheel. So I'm using lighter pink. Whereas in the first example we used opposite colors in the color wheel, that's why it created muddy. So here I'll be selecting similar colors in the same family. For instance, I used dark pink, light pink and light purple, and they are all in the same family of cool colors. So if you blend it, it will create a nice beautiful look. See, this gives a beautiful look compared to the first one, which is not so great. So this tip you can use for blending techniques, like use colors from the same family in the color wheel, just which are close to each other. For instance, light blue, dark blue, or light green, dark green and yellow, something like that, similar. And in this third example, I'll show you an easy way to draw sun in the middle of the forest or something like that. I'm just making a rough drawing. This is not a accurate beautiful drawing. I'm just showing you an example. So in this first case, I'll first draw a tree, and I'm using white oil pastel to draw the sun. As you can see, it's not so great because the sun is looking dull and it's not a clean painting. So I'll show you another easy way. So first you apply a round shape of masking tape in the middle of the trees, and then you start drawing the trees. This technique can be applied when you're drawing forest or something like that. And you can check in my YouTube channel. I have my drawing about forest with sun rays. So in this drawing, I put masking tape and I applied color over it. And when you take it out, you can see how bright the white spot in the middle is. See, the white is really preserved, and this is an easy way to draw sun rays. Because in the first example, if you draw white over green, it's not looking good. So this way may be easier. I'm not saying this is the right way or wrong way, but I feel this method is great for drawing sun rays. And once you finish taking the masking tape, you can fine tune the sun to make it better. And I'll show you in this example how to get clean edges for the drawing. In the first example, I am using the blunt end of oil pastels to draw the figure. And as you can see, the edges are not so straight. It looks wavy. And in the second example, I am using the same color, but I am using the other edge of the oil pastel, which is straight and sharp. So instead of using the blunt edge, I switch to the other side, so you get the straight lines. So this is another tip that you could use in your pair drawings, because usually oil pastels become blunt when you use them, and so I usually use only one side a lot and leave the other side sharp, so I can make it to draw edges. See, this second example looks more clean. And in this example, I'll show you with drawing outline first, and then I start coloring. For example, I draw outline with a purple mark oil pastel, and then I start coloring inside with some other color. And when you start blending, then you realize that the edges become muddy and very dirty if you blend different colors after you draw the outline. So to avoid that, it's better that you color the shape first and then you draw the outline. So that looks more cleaner look compared to the first example. First you color the shape, then you blend it either with finger or Q-tip or tissue paper. Then the last step you can apply outline. Outline you can either draw with colored pencil or with a sharp edge of oil pastel, depends on your drawing. If you need fine lines, I think using color pencil outline will be good. So here I am using the sharp edge of other oil. So this second example looks more clean and neat compared to the first one, where we drew outline first and then we started coloring. So this one is better. And I'll show you here how to blend small areas. If you are doing a tiny area, it is very difficult to blend with oil pastels. Very difficult. So I will show you an easy way to blend tiny areas. So first you apply color, then you fine tune it with color pencil so that you get the neat edges for the tiny drawing. You can even sharpen the color pencils. I didn't sharpen it, that's why it's little not neat, but you can sharpen it and spread the oil pastels towards the edges, so you can do tiny areas with the help of color pencil and oil pastels. And we are using Q-tips or earbuds to blend this, and I'll show you a simple trick to use the Q-tip. See, here I'm using Q-tip and the edges become so messy. See, the edges cotton on the Q-tip becomes messy. So to avoid that, sometimes I'll show you the second example. I'll first color it, then we'll start blending with the Q-tip. So what I do is I cut this tiny edge of the cotton, tiny piece of the cotton from the edge to make it little flat, and then we'll blend. Then let's see how it works. See, here it's easier to blend and it doesn't create a big mess of cotton ball at the edge of the Q-tip. See, the edges are nice and it's easy to blend. See the first one, how it's messy, the edge. So this tip you can use it for your drawings. And using tissue paper to blend, some people use the tissue paper as it is, like just a piece of tissue paper and you rub it. So this is not the right way. The second example, I'll color it first with dark purple. Then I'm going to show you how to exactly use the tissue paper. So first you take the tissue paper and you tightly roll it. So like this, I roll it like that, and then you blend it. So you get that hard edges on the tissue paper, and it's easier to blend than taking just a piece of tissue paper as in the first example that we did. So this one gives a more smooth blending. So this is how I do it, like I roll the tissue paper and then blend it. And when you're using fingers to blend, I have made a lot of mistakes like this when I started initially with oil pastels. I blend with fingers. It's okay to blend with fingers, but you can see what mistake I'm making here. So I use the same finger that I use for the other color and blended the yellow, and see how it looks unclean and little messy. So the right way to do it, I realized after making so many mistakes, is that first you color, then you blend with one finger. Then don't forget to clean your finger with a wet turkey towel or something to wipe off all this color, and then you start the other color blending. So now my finger is clean, and I'm blending with my clean fingers, and now this color becomes nice and clean compared to the first example. These are all mistakes I realized I made in the beginning, so I just wanted to share it with you so you could avoid those. Again another example of tissue paper blending. I roll the tissue paper like I showed you in the other example, and then I blend. Then again the same mistake I made, again using the same roll of tissue paper to blend the other colors, and it looks very unclean. So in the second example I will show you a trick on how to use the tissue paper when blending. I roll it again and I blend it. And now let's see how I apply to the second color. So from the roll I cut off the portion that I used it for other color. So I cut off that portion of tissue paper and then I applied a color to the other. So now it looks nice and clean. This is a tip, just to cut off the portion of tissue paper roll before blending the other color. So coloring large areas is what is this example shows. So for coloring large areas, initially I used to make lines like this and then I blended, and see how it's not looking nice. And I learned over a period that you need to apply oil pastel without leaving any white marks. So you apply color closely, not like lines like in the first example. Apply very closely like this. And then if you blend, the blending will be really smooth. So this is an example that you could use for sky, areas like sky or any large abstract paintings or anything like that. So the blending will be smooth if you use lots of layers and without leaving white spots. Here I'll show you another way to make sun rays by making scratches. So first I applied white oil pastels all over the paper. Then I applied green color, just to pretend it's a forest that I am making, so I'm using green color. This is just an example. When you are making forest, I am showing you the technique you can use to make the sun. So here I am making scratch with the knife. See how I am going back and forth and back and forth. I realized that this is not the way to do it. Initially I used to make sun like this, like back and forth motion. So in the second example I'll show you the right way of using knife. You can use any type of knife, not necessarily the kitchen knife, but you can use even palette knife. But for this example I didn't have any palette knife, so I used the regular kitchen knife for that. So you pretend this is a forest that I am making. And now let's start drawing the sun in the middle of the trees. See, each time when you make a stroke, you just make one stroke and then you wipe the edge with the tissue paper, then you make another stroke. So after every stroke you have to clean your knife with the tissue paper, otherwise the same color gets muddy and it's not looking good. If you need to get sharp rays like that, you have to clean it after each stroke, like that. This technique you can use for making sun or even while making scratches in any abstract painting. And in this example I'll show you how to make delicate veins of a leaf. So first I draw a leaf with olive green color. Then I blend it. Since this is a small area, I am using Q-tip to blend. and then I applied light green color for the veins. I'm not saying this is not the right method, but it creates a big thick veins. So in the second example I'll show you how to create more delicate veins in the leaf, because when you see the veins of the leaf, it's usually very thin and delicate, not like thick like in the other example I showed you. So to get thin lines, here is the trick that I'll show you. Again, my favorite scratching technique that I'm going to use for this. So you scratch it off with any kind of knife. See how it creates nice and fine lines? This technique can be used to draw hair or veins or anything that you like, tiny delicate lines. This technique can be used. All of these techniques that I'm showing you, you can apply in different ways. So in this example I'll show you how to make a thin delicate areas with oil pastels. See, in this example the area is very thin and it doesn't give sharp nice edges because oil pastels are blunt and it's difficult to draw thin areas. So to avoid this, I developed a technique of using blending first and then using colored pencil to get the fine edges of very thin lines. Usually I make a lot of abstract paintings and I make a lot of thin lines like this. So this is the technique that I use. I use color pencil to lightly spread across the oil pastels and create a nice look. Drawing flowers and the background sky. Here I am drawing the flower first. And then I am trying to draw a sky area around the flower. See, it's not working out because it's very difficult to draw around the edges of a tiny flower and it doesn't create a clean background if you try to draw flower first and then the background. So these are the mistakes that I made initially when I started with oil pastels. So later on I watched other YouTube videos and I got some ideas and I thought I'll share my techniques with you in this video. So in the second example I'm drawing the sky first, sky or the background first. Usually for sky I apply white pastels first and then I apply blue and then I make the sky like this. So you blend the sky completely before you start drawing any flowers or leaves or anything like that. So this way you have more control and then you get the nice and clean look of the flowers. This technique you can use for making paintings of garden or flower fields or anything like that. I have a painting of sunflower fields. If you like, you could watch it. It's on my playlist of oil pastels. So I think the second example looks more clean. I'm drawing some distant mountains in the sunset. So when I draw sunset mountains, I make the dark mountain first, dark blue or something for the mountains, and then I blend the dark colors. Because during sunset the mountains will be dark, so I use this technique. And then for the highlights I use whites on top of the dark. Light colors or white or whatever color painting you are making, you can use those lighter shades to make the highlights. the second example for the sunset mountains, I'm using lighter shades first in the mountain. Then I apply darker shades. I think the second example is more suited for making daylight painting mountains, and the first example is more for sunset painting. So I use the first one for the night mountains. So in this example I'll show you how to preserve the white highlights of a fruit or something. In this example I'll draw a cherry and with a full red color, and then I blend the color completely. Then I apply white for highlights. This is also one way to do it, but I was thinking that this white is a little dull, so I tried another method. So first you draw the cherry and color it with red, but leave a white spot in between. Don't color it. So this will preserve the white areas of the cherry, and it gives a nice white reflection compared to the first one. You can use either one of those methods, but if you need a bright reflection like in a glass or something, or cherry or fruit, then I think the second method is good. You just leave the portion uncolored and leave it as white to preserve the white portion. I hope you are enjoying this tutorial, and you can apply any of these techniques in your drawings. This is my favorite drawing silhouette paintings. Normally I draw sunset like this, yellow and orange, and I blend it. You should apply more closer lines for the color, but this is just an example, so I didn't apply much colors. So after that, drawing the sky, sunset sky, then I'm using black oil pastels to draw the coconut tree. This is one way to do it, but there is another way. Like if you want to draw a silhouette, there is another way also, which I'll show you in the second example. So first you draw the silhouette with black marker or Sharpie, like that. Sometimes I use this technique because when I first make this drawing, I have the control. Instead of drawing over the oil pastels like in the first one, I like this method better sometimes. So I let it dry. I use a marker like that and I let it dry. Then apply the sunset sky. I blend it over the markers. But make sure it's dry completely. Suppose when you're drawing people silhouette or something, I feel this method is better because we get the sharp features of a human with the black marker compared to drawing with a full oil pastels like in the first one. So you blend it completely like that, and you see how the silhouette black marker shows through the oil pastel blending. Then you can apply a black colored pencil over that just to give the fine edges of the tree. And you see, I think this example gives a more sharper tree compared to the first one because we are using color pencils and it looks nice. And we know we always use masking tape for most of our oil pastels. So the many people, they make mistakes while peeling off the masking tape. I'll show you how it works exactly. So here I'm using an example color of green, and I blend it first. assume that this is my drawing, and then I am trying to peel off the masking tape. When you peel the masking tape, don't peel it all at once like this. See how it creates a unclean edges. So the right way to peel it is like this. Do little at a time, little by little, like lift little by little, and then you peel off. And so you get the sharp edges, and it's very neat. Similarly at the bottom also you can see I did little by little, and then you get very sharp edges like that. So this is a lesson that I learned after making a lot of mistakes. So another example of using masking tape is using masking tape in the middle area. Sometimes when I do seascape drawings, I use masking tape in the middle to divide the portion between the sky and the waters. So I use masking tape in the middle. And then now I am trying to peel off. See how it looks all messy? We don't want that to happen. So let's see what is the right way to do it. So the right way is you remove the glue of the masking tape by pasting it couple of times on a towel or something, which I did, and then after the glue is temporarily removed, then you can apply it in the middle. If you paste it in a cloth and then remove couple of times, most of the glue will be gone. So let's see how it works now. Now you try to remove it, like by gentle lifting technique. See, the edges are nice and clean because there is no glue in this second example. So this technique you can apply in some of your drawings. The first one doesn't look, and the second one looks really nice. So when drawing abstract shapes, right, you first in the first example I colored the shape in the middle first, and then I'm applying the background color. So you see, it's difficult to blend it when you draw the middle shape first and then try to do the background. So the right way that I feel is first you complete all the background first. And again, it's all up to you based on what you feel comfortable, but this is my experience that I'm sharing. And it varies from painting to painting. For each painting the technique might be different. But in general, I am saying when I make abstract paintings, I make the background first. Sometimes I do human paintings also. So first I do all the other coloring first, and then I blend it completely before I start coloring the middle portion. Now carefully apply color in the middle area. Oh, I think by mistake I mixed some of the blues, which I shouldn't have done, but you have to be careful not to mix up the background color here. So apply very delicately. I was rushing through, so the blue shows up in the middle. So then you blend the color in the middle. For fine areas I use Q-tip. And for abstract paintings I sometimes use color pencil to make designs like that in the middle. So that way you have more control, because once you draw the background, I think it's easier to draw the shapes. Another way to get the sharp edges for geometric shapes is that in the first example I am just using the edges of oil pastel to color the triangle, and there is another easy way to do it. Like if you have some geometric shapes, I just cut out the shape in another piece of paper like that, and I make a template. This technique is useful for making silhouette drawings, drawing some person in a sunset or something like that. So you can make a template in another paper, and then you color it inside within the template. So see how you get nice and sharp edges like that. This is another great example. This is one way to lighten the colors in oil pastels, is to add whites to lighten up the area. But I think adding white dulls the painting. It doesn't give a vibrant effect. So what I do is I use a closer lighter colors to blend it instead of using white. See, for instance, here I am using dark pink and light pink. So the second one is more vibrant compared to the first one. Adding white becomes dull sometimes. It again depends on what you are making, but this is a general thing that I notice, that adding closer colors is more vibrant. And another mistake that I was making is that I used very thick layers of oil pastels when I started painting in the beginning. See how I'm making very thick with a high pressure, and then it creates a powdery look after you blend it. It creates a lot of flakes and powders because it's very thick. So later on I realized that applying thin strokes layer by layer is more efficient. If you apply with light pressure thin strokes and then I blend it, so the blending becomes more smooth compared to the first one, because first one is all powdery. Another technique of even blending is I used to just scribble all over the paper initially, and then I blended, and it doesn't look nice. So instead of scribbling, apply the oil pastels nice and even without showing any white marks. Nice light strokes all over the paper. And then when you blend it, you get a nice and smooth blend. Usually when I'm rushing through, I just scribble like in the first example, and the whole painting becomes messy. And in this example I use the unclean tip of oil pastel. Sometimes the yellow gets mixed with blue and all that, and I use the same thing, and it creates all dirty look in the first example. So the second example I cleaned it with paper towel. I cleaned the tip of the pastel with paper towel, then applied color, so the color looks nice and neat. Rubbing too hard with the tissue paper, in this example, if you rub too hard, all the color will be wasted on the tissue paper. See, all the color is gone. So the right way I realize to do it is using gentle rubbing method. Do not apply too much pressure on the tissue paper, but use it very gently. That way the color is not wasted and the color will be retained on the paper. So I realized that gentle rubbing, even with fingers, you apply it gently, not with too much pressure. If you apply pressure, all the color is gone in your fingers or tissue paper or even Q-tip. So see here, this looks nice and neat. Getting straight lines in the middle. In this example, I'm using oil pastels to draw the lines. Like you pretend you're drawing a beach scene. So I use oil pastels to draw the waters in the beach. In the second example, I am using masking tape and then drawing the sky. To separate the sky area and the water area, for example in the beach painting, I use this technique. First you apply masking tape and you blend the sky. Then you tape the masking tape on the sky area and then start working on the sea or waters or lake or anything like that, and then start blending the lake area. See, now if you take out the masking tape, you will get the nice clean line in between. Compared to the first one, it's very difficult to draw a straight line with hand, so this technique is better. And using charcoal as an outline, I have tried it a lot of many times before. I draw outline with charcoal and then I color it with oil pastels. And when you try to blend it, it creates a muddy, dirty effect because the charcoal gets mixed with oil pastels and it doesn't give a clean look. I used to make this mistake earlier when I started oil pastels. So now I am using the technique like you draw the shape first, and then if at all you want to draw outline with charcoal, then you blend this shape first. And then finally you draw the outline with charcoal. But make sure you sharpen the charcoal because I didn't do it in this example. I was rushing. So when you draw the outline, you make sure that the tip of the charcoal is nice and sharp, and then you draw the outline. So I hope you like all these examples of do's and don'ts and tips and tricks of oil pastels, and you apply these techniques, whatever technique you like, in your drawings. And I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and please subscribe to my channel to see more of my tutorials. I make drawings every single day. And using black pastels in this example, I use black oil pastels. For instance, pretend I am drawing a forest scene with dark shadows and all that. I used black first. And using black, it creates a very dark, and I don't like the effect of using black in general. For some paintings it's okay, but for most of the stuff I don't use black. So in the second example, to avoid black, I am using dark brown first. For example, in the forest shadow areas, I use dark brown. Then if I need little darker brown, I mix blue also with this. So as you can see, blue and dark brown, it creates a dark look, but not as much as using black. It gives a gentle, subtle look in the second example. So I've been using that technique lately. And when drawing flowers in a garden, if you draw flower first and then you draw the background, it's very difficult to control. and blend the outside areas. So when you're drawing a garden, you draw first the background first, like for example greens, like a flower field or something. If you're going to draw, this technique is useful. It again depends on which drawing you're making. For every drawing the technique might be different, but whatever suits you, you can apply in all these techniques that I showed you. There is no hard and fast rule in any painting. It's all based on your experience. So I'm drawing the background first, and then I'm drawing the flowers. So that way you have more control. Once you finish the background and then draw flowers, leaves and all that, it's easier that way. So I hope you like my tutorial. You please subscribe and watch my